I think the weirdest one was when I dressed as a librarian and I just took a pile of books in and I sat on this chair just reading books, and people can't go, are you okay? Do you not want to come and dance? I'm going, I'm reading. Leave me alone. People are going, are you all right? Like, shh, this is a library? They're going, what? This is a library? What? And it was just
There's
stupid.
just another level. Manumission will never be matched. There's some of the I saw in there. I'm not talking about all the sex show and all that lot.
No.
I'm on about the creativity and the randomness.
So I decided to spray paint myself green, and then I gave myself blue hair. And I took a little stool and a potato, and I was just sitting there peeling potatoes. Whether I'd seen it somewhere or envisioned it, or I don't know where it came from. And that's when I bumped into Johnny and Debbie Redhair and Heather, God rest her soul. And they said, come and work with us. You're fun. But I got on the plane to come back, and I just burst into tears as we've come off the tarmac. And this lady next to me, she went, are you okay, dear? I said, I'm fine. I just don't want to. She went, I'm sure you'll come back sometime. And I'm back here next week.
Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me on this week's podcast. I'll be really quick. 70% of the people that watch this podcast aren't subscribers. Podcasts are the hardest channels to build. I'd really, really appreciate your help just by clicking that subscribe button. It takes a few seconds and it's free. Thanks so much, and let's continue. Miss Good. What year did you get to Ibiza?
So it was mid-90s. I went out in 94 for a little holiday and just fell in love with the place, and then went back again towards the end of that summer. And I was with a bit of an asshole friend that left me on my own. So I decided to go and have a little wander around, and stumbled upon the West End and walked down there, just bombarded with people trying to get you in for a drink. And I managed to make it all the way down to the bottom. And this tall, lovely, beautiful girl, Caroline, she asked me into Coppers, and I went in, and I didn't really know anybody. And Andy Matthews behind the bar, being Andy Matthews, offering me drinks. And that's where I met Tony and Eto. And we became close ever since. But if it wasn't for meeting those guys, I don't know if I would have gone back to work there, because that was my last night.
Was it?
And
okay.
I think the whole reason I went to Ibiza in the first place, it's a bit sad. I mean, I was bullied and picked on throughout my teenage years, all through school. Had quite a happy initial childhood. And then, dimensions changed in our family, and couldn't dance anymore, couldn't do this, couldn't do that anyway. But suddenly becoming from a single parent family and not having, the money to look good, or, children are assholes. They can be assholes. And I was bullied for everything. Not having boobs, for having braces, for being skinny, for being single mum, for not having, your Reebok trainers on. And because I was bullied and picked on so much, I needed like some kind of escapism. And I found a Spiral Tribe festival. Well, I was taken to one. And I fell in love with it. And this crazy mad dance festival out in the middle of nowhere then took me to the Manor, and then that's where I met Graham Gold, and he said, come and be a dancer for me at Club UK. And I went up there, and I was just amazed by it all. Then I heard about this Ibiza and booked a ticket on CFAX, and off I went. So it was kind of like getting away. Yeah. Teletext.
I remember having to check Teletext for the clubs, didn't we?
Yeah.
What was going on? Fucking hell, Lucy.
Exactly. That's all we had then.
How has no one else brought that up on any of the other podcasts? It's taken me like 9 months for someone to mention CFAX. But that's the first time. I remember
go.
We always used to do it before we go out on the weekend. Always used to check
our ages there.
Oh, my Lord.
Some people probably have no idea what it is, but...
No, I'm not even going to tell them because they probably won't believe us. That is amazing. So that's really weird. We've got a few things in common there. Club UK was my first club. Graham Gold was the first DJ I listened to outside of the Strawberry Sunday environment.
Same.
And I was picked on at school as well because my dad was a rogue and he was a bit of a criminal, and the rest of the kids were a bit of posh and just, they'll bully you for
Yeah.
anything. They're arseholes, kids, as you
Yeah.
said.
Oh, yeah.
And music was my escape. As soon as I found house music, it was just like, this is for me. And then Ibiza was for me. And I worked at my first place was Nightlife, below Coppers.
Cut out there.
My first
Right,
night, my
I see.
first night.
How funny.
If I hadn't have gone to Coppers, I wouldn't have been in Ibiza. So it's the same part of the West End because, as if people don't know watching this, Coppers is upstairs and Nightlife is below it. So yeah, that's a very similar kind of.
Well, I never forget going in there, and Andy Matthews was really lovely, and he went back out to work out the front, and I just started chatting to Tony Netto, and I was just taken by him. He was awesome. He took me up to Play 2, where I met one of the girls behind the bar, and then the next day he invited me to his villa with his wife, who I'm now really good friends with, which is lovely. And, the children, Gio and Luca, are brilliant. Luca comes and plays for me now. Amazing DJ. But we went to a barbecue back at his. And I wasn't really aware of how big Ibiza was. I'd literally gone to dumped off on a 20s holiday to Cala de Moro, which the little hotel, Poniente,
yes,
I think is tucked now behind the Grand Sol. And it was just dust as far as the eye could see, apart from Kanya and Casbah and the Abrat. The rest of it was dust. So I was in this kind of weird little desert place, and I didn't know what was beyond that until I went to the West End.
Yeah.
And I think once I'd met Tony, I think he took me to Amnesia. I don't remember much of it that night, to be honest. And then I went back to the West End and met a couple of people who said, look, if you want to come and live back here, just come back. And I was 19, 20 by this time. It was the first time I'd got on a plane as well. I'd never even been abroad. So it was all quite overwhelming. But I literally went home, left my job, left the little flat that I was staying in, packed a massive case just full of what shit I could find, probably plastic whistles and God knows what. And I went back, and I literally got to the bottom of the West End and the taxi rank with this suitcase I could barely carry, dragged it up the West End in the middle of the night through all these people to this guy we called him Long Hair Craig, worked at the top of the West End, and he offered me a job in the bar there. And the next night, it was opposite the old Irish bar. The next night, I was getting people in, making cocktails, and we filled up the bar. And the guy was just like, I can't believe you've done this. And I quite liked that. But the overwhelming love and friendships that were made in the West End in those days was uncomparable to things. And I'm still very, very good friends with a lot of people I made, a lot of friendships I made back then as well. And that kind of just kicked it all off, really.
I say that to everybody. I'm still in touch with so many people who I made friends with in the West End compared to like school friends or people who I went to college with or people I went to university with. I'm friends. And that was 20 odd years ago. I went to Ibiza, and I'm still talking to them daily. Yeah. Or some of them, or still having a laugh with them. And it was just incredible family. And the West End was it was just a community, and everyone was going over there for their own little reason at the time. Yeah. There was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no Twitter, so people didn't know what it was. People went there either because they were on the run, or they were in trouble, they had issues, they wanted to get away, or loved music, and had heard about this thing going on this island. This music thing, that's how I found about it, and they went now. It's just because people want to be cool, and then when I saw Facebook, when I saw it all happening, I never forget. I said to someone, "You know what? This is giving Ibiza. It's extending Ibiza into people's front rooms into England. It's going to change it forever." Yeah, and it did. Within a couple of years, VIP started, and the sort of people that would never have come over to Ibiza were arriving.
The biggest impact, the biggest change was from going out there 90 94, 95, working in the West End in 96, before the whole Manumission thing, halfway through that summer. I think Ibiza Uncovered came out.
Yep.
And I think that changed the dynamics massively for the West End, because the following season, it was just overrun. It was more madder than ever. There were so many youngsters out there trying to get jobs and everything else. And that's when the Guardia started to come and wrestle people to the ground, and God knows whatever started going on. I think that was one of the big changes out there. And that was a long time. Facebook wasn't invented then.
We only
was
had
it?
5 channels then, remember?
Yeah.
I don't even think... No, it was Sky, wasn't it? It was Sky. Sky had just started.
Yeah,
And
yes, it was.
so basically, we only had a certain amount of channels. And that was huge, Sky One. And but nowadays, all these Ibiza programs would have got lost. But I remember when Ibiza Uncovered come out, I always remember the girl's voice. You know, the commentator.
Yeah.
I can picture it in my head now. The Ibiza Uncovered voice is always going to be there forever. And
Sam and Kez, they were just it was just kind of followed them and their little story and journey around Ibiza, which is lovely. Still really good friends with them now. You know,
I do like watching it, because you do see some of the old faces, and they're still there.
Yeah, especially the people you didn't know then that you know now, and going.
And I didn't know you were a rep.
Yeah.
No, I had the best ever times there, and I just sometimes I really wish I had a time machine.
I'm buzzing now thinking about it. I mean, I'll touch on a few things as well later on that just even now gets my goosebumps going. You know, it was a paradise haven for people that just love music, or to get away, or to escape, or just a break from their norm, where you could just be yourself and just express yourself. And, you know, the West End was pretty much a drunken pisshead's place. It wasn't until you kind of got out there and discovered the club scene that things
We all went clubbing together, though, didn't we? So we all got drunk together, but then they'd go clubbing.
Yeah.
And then we'd go to work straight after. You know, and it was just, and the bosses didn't really seem to mind, unless if the work got done.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there were so many people then. They were making so much money.
Oh, of course they were.
So much money, hand over fist.
Yeah, it was crazy, the money that went in and out those bars. I mean, I did walk up the West End this year once they painted it all, and I remember photo show, and I remember, you know, it was just so busy. I worked at Tropicana for a while, and Congas. That's where I met Julie Strachan, actually, and I did it for a couple of months until I saw the little parade of Manumission's first parade.
Yeah.
Went, what's that? Then I went, I delved into that one.
Yeah. That was life changing. I mean, it was to the point where when I left the bars, because I was at the bottom of the West End, and you couldn't walk up the main strip. You'd have to walk around the sides, wouldn't you? You'd always walk around the sides, and it just got slowly withered away. But the drinking culture that we had then, it doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Because of A, prices, B, this new generation of more healthy living kids, and VIP, I suppose. I think it's kind of changed a lot of things, and people don't want to be seen to be drunk because they've got to look beautiful for Instagram.
I do have one little prop, one thing that changed my life and drew me even more to Ibiza. Is this, the Erebus.
Oh my God, really? Yeah.
This is my favourite thing in the world. And once I discovered that, being a pauper working in the West End, and then when I first started working for Manumission, I did a lot there, but I was still on £11 for the Monday night, I think, because it was pesetas back then.
Yeah.
But you could get a shot of yerbas for 200 pesetas. Now, 2 or 3 shots of them, and you're kind of quite merry. It's not like a normal drink. So I clocked onto that early on, and I'd have a little bottle in my bag, and I'd just go to the bar and have a few shots of yerbas. Or you'd be clever and you'd hang around at the bar, and when other people bought drinks, you used to get a free shot back then. They'd gone on those days.
Always.
So it wasn't quite, pinching drinks, but people go, oh no, I don't want that. And I go, oh, I'll have that.
I remember the guys at Nightlife. It was my night off. No, it wasn't even my night off. it got a bit quiet. And I think it was the DJs. It was either Dermot or Alex Ellinger or one of those two. And it's gone a shot run. I was like, I can't just leave the bar. Yeah, of course you can. It's gone a shot run. I was gone for an hour. I think it was with Dermot. And we went to every single bar up the West End. Like, I remember we were going to Rumours and all of these lot.
Of course, it was normal.
And we were getting free drinks and this and that. And it was just like, do we not pay for anything here? And it was just like, nothing at all.
No.
But they were so busy, making so much money.
Yeah.
And then I got back to the bar and I was quite pissed then. And there was Pepe and Julian.
Everywhere, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just everywhere you went. And if you were lucky enough to get to know all the bar owners, and if you'd go round and you'd do that before you started work. And then again
Julian, he was my boss, and vodka. As soon as he'd walk into Nightlife, vodka lima, and that's the first thing he'd say, and everyone would be on the shots, and then but they just let me go out for like half an hour mid shift. Just for a shot run if it was a bit quiet, because you used to have the dips in the night before the bar crawls, because the bar crawls used to be a really big thing before they banned those as well. And it was just it was just so free to do anything you wanted, and I loved it. And
I sing that song then, you're free.
I had to literally I left at the end of my first summer, and I was so homesick because I called it home then.
Yeah,
I got a flight back the day after Boxing Day, my first year, and I ended up staying there my first winter.
The winters are lovely, and it's. I would leave. I would get out there probably beginning of April, fanning around till things opened.
Yeah.
Space never even opened till my birthday.
It was a great month, April.
Yeah, and
Loved
then I'd
it.
drag it out to the end of October, but you'd run out of money, and then there were so few flights. But coming home, the depression upon having to leave that behind, and you've got these 4 or 5 long dark months before you can go back. It was
the Ibiza blues. I remember you're actually bringing it all back to me now, because I don't think people realise how low we got.
No,
because it was so incredible. It was so free. It was so wild. It was so. And then I remember those months, because a couple of times I did have to go back for a couple of months to England to work with my mum and just help her out with some stuff, and I was just homesick.
yeah,
I was an absolute misery around the house.
yeah.
And I just couldn't wait to get back. And as soon as I was back in the ship again, I was like, oh, I love it. I love it here. Everyone else thinks it's a
Never
shit.
forget, and I still get that now. Just flying in. No, I'm there 2 or 3 times, 2, 3, 4 times a year, and just flying in every single time, I want to cry and I get goosebumps. And every time I get on a plane, in April this year, I got on a plane to come back, went out for meetings. Obviously, you have to go out for meetings every month, in inverted commas.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a few more of those this year myself, actually.
I know, but I got on the plane to come back, and I just burst into tears, as we come off the tarmac. And this lady next to me, she went, "Are you okay, dear?" I said, I'm fine. I just don't want to shoot. I'm sure you'll come back sometime. I know I'm back here next week. She said, "What are you crying for then?" I said, "I just don't want to go." But no.
I know exactly what you're on about. It just has this beautiful charm about it. And so when did you get involved with Manumission then? Because this was a big part of I kind of know you from Manumission and Pure C. That's kind of what I know Lisa Good as, as being an old school Ibiza worker, Manumission, and now what you do with your charity.
With them nearly 10 years. So, and I was chatting to Dawn about it the other day, about the good old days. Now, I'd gone back to work out there, and I think on the 20s bus on the way through, the first time we'd gone past this great big construction in the hills, and people were like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Oh, that's a weird place where they slaughter live animals on stage. Don't go there." It was like, there wasn't obviously in the 20s curriculum.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, okay, weird." I knew there was weird things that went on in Ibiza. So, and it wasn't until I'd gone back there and I was working in the bar and I saw Debbie Redhair and Johnny Dwarf just come up in these little pants with a little made up Manumission sign just going Manumission. I was like, what's that? And someone said, oh, that's in that big club called Coup. It's an open top club. It's got a pool. And I was like, oh, I want to go there. So I think I got a bus there. And I went on my own because I was quite bold by then. Well, I've done half a season in Ibiza, and suddenly I had all this confidence and stuff exuding from me. And I went in there, and I never forget it. I never forget going into this vast place and all these people and the pool and the fire breathers and the stars up above and the catacombs and the little creaky stairs and the palm trees and the people and the music. And I just got on that bridge and I danced all night and I didn't want to leave. So the next time I went, I thought, oh, I want to get involved in this. And you didn't know whether people were hiring people. You didn't know what was going on. So I went dressed all in this white stuff and spray painted my hair whites. And I took along a load of, I don't know what the vegetables are all about, but I just
You fit in quite nicely then.
I don't know where it came from. And I was just walking around with vegetables and things. I mean, I've got a photo of me at some festival with a "Hey you guys" mask on and a chandelier in one hand and carrots in another. I don't know where that came from, but I went in there with some carrots and some onions and a little bag of potatoes. And it wasn't until the following week that I decided to spray paint myself green, and then I gave myself blue hair. And I took a little stool and a potato, and I was just sitting there peeling potatoes. Whether I'd seen it somewhere or envisioned it, or I don't know where it came from. And that's when I bumped into Johnny and Debbie Redhair and Heather, God rest her soul. And they said, come and work with us. You're fun. And they said, see what you can do with this banana. So I stood on this podium and with this little blow up banana, it was a trombone, it was a phone, I was riding it around, it was a golf club. And they went, right, come and work with us. You're hilarious. And then that was towards the end of the season. So beginning of 1997, went back and auditioned, and we were all Elvises. And I just had the time of my life, and I was picked up to work, and we started doing the weddings as well. But I wanted to take it one step further. So I'd also discovered La Cucagna, which was a fancy dress shop in Ibiza town. So
Oh my God, yeah. I was only thinking about that place the other day. We used to get all our stuff from there.
Oh, you get Dickie window clings, you get the lot in there.
Yeah. I've forgotten the name of it. What was the name of it again?
La Cucagna.
That's it. God, there was always these bags in Manumission full of the stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shop for props. It was you'd go shop for props run.
They must have made a fortune.
I know. So I started to elaborate on my costumes and go above and beyond and spend all week preparing something else. And then one day, I think, don't know what started it, but I asked if I could have a washing machine in the club and a washing line. And I think they were just quite taken aback by the things that I wanted to do. They gave me my own little area. You know, where the pool is and you go up into the back room, which was the black and white room back then.
Yes.
And there's walkway.
Yes.
And there's a little dusty patch with a palm tree on it. They went, Rook, do what you want here every week. Just do something. So the first time I had a washing machine and a washing line pop, and I quite happily spent the day dressed as a washerwoman with toilet brushes hanging off my boobs, just taking washing out and hanging it back up on the washing line, and then taking it all off and folding it up, and and I was in my element, and people going, "What are you doing?" I think my job description was to make people stand
random.
Doing.
Were you one of the first random people, or were they already doing random stuff there? Were you like a catalyst for
Johnny Dwarf? He was doing quite random things.
Yeah, he was always.
Yeah, that was the year the entertainers started, and then we'd go out and get the props. And we used to all have props and go out and do things. But some people just were there just to be at Manumission. They didn't really elaborate on what they were doing or get involved. Some people did. I mean, Sharky always came as Darth Maul. Lecky and Matt, they were the stilt walkers with the big devil thing or whatever. I ended up doing little shows with them as well. Dorian was great.
I was just about to say Dorian, of course.
Yeah. So he's entertainment manager as well. And then I became one because we were kind of thinking outside the box and doing such random things in there, I think the weirdest one was when I dressed as a librarian and I just took a pile of books in and I sat on this chair just reading books, and people can't go, are you okay? Do you not want to come and dance? I'm going, I'm reading. Leave me alone. People going, are you all right? Like, shh, this is a library? They're going, what? This is a library? What? Like, it was just
It's just
stupid.
another level. Manumission will never be matched. I
No.
don't care. I know you've got your El Rose. I know you've got the Garlands. I know we've got things that are wonderful. Garlands was different, but just as
Yeah.
crazy. But it would never, ever be repeated, what they did at Manumission.
No.
Never, ever. I mean, there's some of the shit I saw in there. I'm not talking about all the bollocks sex show and all that lot. I'm
No.
on about the creativity and the randomness of what, and
Yeah.
then the shows. The shows
Yes.
were just, because I know now they say, look at, what's it called? Universe.
Yeah.
It is a show.
Yeah.
But it's not a show where
It's
people
not.
are engaging in actual
No.
partying at the same time. They're just looking
I
at it,
thought it
you
was a
know.
phone shop. I thought it was a mobile phone shop.
Yeah, I mean, it is whether it would be different if we had phones back then, I don't know, but it was still like, I'll never forget when the house lights would come on. Remember that cheer?
When the trannies
It
go
was
up.
just like boom, and that huge explosion, boom,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
Manumission crowd, and it was just, they were so engaged with the party as well
Yeah.
as the show. Now,
Yeah.
I think that has what is separated now. I think it's not a party, it's not a show, it's either a show or a party.
Yeah.
You know, so you can go to 528 in Ibiza and have a really good party, or some of these smaller venues. But when you go to these universities or the Ushuaias, I don't think it's a party anymore. I think it's
No.
more of
I'm
a
not
show.
into all well it being good, but I'm not into the
It
whole
looks
late
incredible.
thing ever. I love the rustic Ibiza style little terracotta stairs and palm trees, and you know, because I spent quite a lot of time up the trees with stink bombs dressed as
In the
schoolgirls.
Coca Loca room, that bloody
Yeah,
tree.
yeah.
Oh, I was up there
And
loads.
the tree in underground, and the tree in DC10 that I was throwing stink bombs out when I had my pubic wigs and everything. I'd be up there and people going, "What's that?" And I did fall out on top of Andy Greaves' head once. Nearly broke my kneecap, but
I was
that's
up the Coca Loca tree with Dennis Rodman, you know, the basketball player.
yeah.
Dennis Rodman, you know, the one, was he married to Madonna or something?
Yeah. Oh,
He used to go there all the time. He was he was up the tree with us.
Yeah.
Right,
I think
right,
I put
Dennis.
Sean Maguire up the tree once as well. I was dressed as a schoolgirl, and he just decided that he was going to hang out with me all night. And I have these little sneaky ways of making money in the club, like, you know, once I built a wigwam out of crepe paper and I entice people in. I get them to paint stones and then charge them for these stones. But this particular day, dressed as a schoolgirl, going around with Sean Maguire, and I put a prawn, like a dead actual big prawn, into a jam jar, and I was going around getting people to guess the name of the prawn. It was Sean, but no one guessed Sean. I was with Sean Maguire at the time. And we were going round and round, and people were giving me money, and no one said, "Well, when do we find out?" Oh, a couple of people might have done. Said, "Oh, your name will be announced at the end, and there's a massive prize. You get free tickets." What's going on? No one guessed the name Sean the prawn at all. It was hilarious.
I remember people just, and it was so anonymous then. Like, I remember Noel Gallagher wandering around.
Yeah.
All that lot, just as if it was.
There's Zoe Ball, Sarah.
But it was just like I remember, I think it was Claire from Manumission who said when they moved to Barcelona, they said they loved the days where everyone pretended not to be rich.
Yeah.
You know, tried to be anonymous. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't about who you were. It was about driving the shit cars and being under the radar.
Yeah.
And now it's spun on its head. It's
Yeah.
like, look at me.
Yeah. Oh, don't.
Yeah, but I'm not slagging off or any of the big venues, because it is in demand for what they do, and what they do is incredible. I mean, the money, the production, it is the best in the world.
Insane.
I look at it, I'm just like, my God, if I was a kid and that was my first time going to a club and I had a smartphone, would I be taking it out?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's an argument. There's an argument as well. I mean,
whole new generation, and it's their thing. You know, I was there on and off for over 30 years, And the dynamics change, the people change, the kids change, the clubs change. You've got to move with the times. It's not what we loved, but they bloody love it.
They
Get on with
absolutely
it.
love it. And I think
Pressure.
slowly we are seeing them banning phones. Germany
Yeah.
banned them. A lot of
Well, they'd
other
take your
people
camera off you when you went into space. They'd put a
didn't they, in that bloody drawer, and
Yeah,
charged
that-
us 30%, €3. I remember that.
Yeah.
And it was, if we had those little Kodak camera thing, we used to hide our phones just to get the little snaps. I remember that because they used to make money out of the photographers in there. Yeah, and used to have to go and pick your photos up from the club,
Yeah.
or they delivered them to your hotel. I don't know how they did it, but they were efficient, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's just moved on, and what these people at the Night League and Pasha and all that, they're delivering what is necessary for the modern day audience, and yeah, it's just completely different. And so is there any other surreal moments that stand out for you at Manumission?
I think one of my favourites was when I was I dressed as a bunny girl, and I took a miniature flymo in and loads of carrots again, and a big roll of green carpet. And I had, obviously, bear in mind there's 11,000 people in the club. I mean, I'd always find a spot where people were walking around me going, and I rolled out this big long piece of carpet, put the carrots on the grass. I had a couple of signs saying, please keep off the grass. I was going up with the flymo dressed as an over elaborate bunny girl and just shouting at people to keep off the grass. That was probably one of my favourite evenings. It was great. And of course I had my rubber chicken with me as well. That was
Tell us about the rubber chicken. Come on. I know you're dying to.
That's what I was known for, the moustaches and the rubber chicken. So basically, obviously on a prop shop run, I picked up this rubber chicken and I adopted him. I know chickens are female, but he was not. Anything goes out there.
Yep.
And it did then. So this chicken went with me everywhere. I mean, once I got him home, fell in love with him. I went out in pink fluffy bras. I think I went to do one night of a trade and pushka, I think. And I got into trouble for it because I was Manumission only. But I had this pink boa on, this pink marabou bra that we used to, sell this marabou to make fluffy bras and hot pants and things. And I sprayed the chicken pink and I gave him his own little boa as well. And the amount of people, I tied him to this black big piece of elastic and wore him as a handbag. And everybody was like trying to touch my chicken and going, that's amazing. It's so cool. So then with the Manumission weeks, every time I was dressed, I would dress him the same as me. So one night, it was the Cowboy and Indian night, and I was Pocahontas, so he was Last of the Mohens. Another time was all spray painted silver. It was an alien night. He was the intergalactic plucked pecker. Another night when it was the cleaning ladies' night, he was Violeta Super Chicken, and me and my friend George actually made him a toilet seat to sit on, a pretend toilet, Edwardian toilet. And the chicken got a name for himself. People used to try and buy him off me. People used to try and I had that chicken for 3 years solid, came everywhere, every single Manumission in space. I still have him now.
I was about to say, please don't tell me you've lost him.
No. Someone tried to steal him. Someone else offered me 500 quid for him. I just wasn't letting him go. But he is now disintegrated in a carrier bag in my bathroom.
You need to put him into a vacuum sealed bag.
Yeah.
One of those plastic bags.
I made that into a handbag, yeah.
Yeah, and make sure he's nice and concealed and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Do you know Burnley Joe?
Who?
Burnley Joe. She's in Ibiza, but she's very like you. I think she was after your era, but she did a lot of this sort of stuff as well. Yeah, Burnley Joe. She did. She was the girl who run the Zoo Project, all the entertainment for Zoo Project.
Never ever got there because I was in Australia then.
Yeah, you were.
I went there.
Now, because Joe used to work for me, at doing all of our slut parties and the shipwrecks and stuff, and do all the stuff that you're saying. So she was like, Lisa Good.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm so surprised that you haven't connected. She still lives in Ibiza. I'm going to connect you two when we're over there next year.
I used to
Absolutely.
see the Zoo Project, and I was living in Australia then. I mean, that was way past my time. And I just used to wish I could go and be
Yeah,
there.
yeah. She was the
And
one that
then
did
when I
all
went,
the animals and
oh,
the mermaids.
yes, 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 yes. I met some at
Yeah,
Pike, actually.
yeah.
I
That
would
she
I
started
quite,
doing all the mermaid thingies. I
yeah,
know a lot of people have started doing it afterwards as well. Because a lot
yeah.
of people imitated, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a lot
Yeah,
of imitation. But you know what? Being the person that did that, and someone's looked at it and gone, "I like that." You've got to treat that as a as a compliment. You know, it's
yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I
nice to
think
have originality and put your own spin on it. I mean, I used to go out dressed as animals all the time. My tiger,
mm,
I'd either have vegetable themes or it'd be animal themes. You know, so
yeah, I know
but
she was a real big part of the Zoo Project with Adi because she directed with her team how because it was very much a, a crowd orientated event. It wasn't so much about the DJs, and they were kind of one of the first brands that were getting into that deep house techno-y sound as well.
yeah, yeah,
Because at the time, I think tech house and electro was really popular across the island, and they weren't. They were very, very away from that. I'll never forget one of them said, "I just don't understand it," and they were playing this techno stuff. And now look how big it is,
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
biggest.
I think the most shocked I was seeing Fernando get fluffed up with an elastic band around his bits and then go out and do that. I mean, there were big characters there. There were a lot of people there. You know, Mike and Claire were huge at the
Yeah,
time, and
celebrities,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. You know, I never forget being in the dressing room while Mike was shoving all the flags up there. And you know, it's I didn't ever aspire to be like that, and I can honestly say I never really watched a sex show because I was too eager to get all my stuff together and get to space. But it was mainly the friends that I made, the people I met. You know, one of my really close friends now, Alday, he would be dressed as Batman every single time, and he's a pretty sensible guy, but he would come out dressed as Batman no matter what. It was, and you waited around for those people so you could definitely hang out with them and make them your friends. But it wasn't no one in particular.
Yeah. There was a
It was
lot of talent there, though, wasn't
it
there?
was.
Yeah.
And because I work within lots of different industries, I was Clockwork, I was Judgment Sunday, I was a Space Carry On was just my favourite thing ever. You know, and I was never into the DJs at the time. I would have had no idea who was playing at Manumission ever
Me
until
too.
Colin Peters played in the bar at the end, in the workers' bar, and
Yeah,
that was cool.
yeah. You
And
always
then
knew when
obviously,
Colin was playing,
yeah,
Yeah, he was
yeah,
great, great, great DJ.
yeah, yeah. And then after that, obviously with Space Carry On, that's where I became really good friends with John Ulysses because we had a conversation every single Tuesday morning and it went on for ages. And he actually told me you need to write a book. So I've started and it's dedicated to John Ulysses. But Brandon, Alex, Buffy, you know, they were just great and we became great friends. And because we're all in the same little niche back then, you know, that's, you know, they inspired me, I suppose,
Can you
as did.
could you explain to me? This is something that I've always wondered. Actually, I've never ever asked. How did I went to Manumission a lot. I only worked there in the last few years of Manumission's existence in Privilege. I worked with the entertainment crew, just doing all the timings of the dancers and stuff like that, all that sort of side of it. Loved it, absolutely loved it, and the security side of things. And how? But I attended for many, many, many years, and every year it just blew me away. Because where have they found these dancers from? Where have they found these skateboarders from on stage?
Yeah.
How did they find these people? How did they
So,
find the talent?
so what happened was when you first go out to Ibiza at the beginning of the season, they hold meetings, flyer meetings, dancers meetings. Christian was head of the dancers in Ibiza, and there was a guy called Adrian, and there was Ali, and it was Zoe. But we'd hold auditions prior to the club opening where
Yeah,
people
yeah.
would get picked for flyering, people would get picked to be dancers, and there were trials everywhere. You know, when I started Easy Tiger with Dawn, um, we advertised. I can't remember how there were adverts out, but I think posters went up and the word got around that the meetings for this, or you know, the trials for this is happening on this day. And Bar M was where everything was held. You know, I'm not Andy and Dawn Andy and Dawn ran the sort of the West End side of things. Mike and Claire ran the Ibiza town side of things. So they had already had their dancers. I remember Otter with the flames up her back, and they were. It was very. The diversity was quite. There were two separate groups.
Yeah.
They would hold their initial meetings in Ibiza town, and Andy and Dawn would hold theirs. And people would just come and audition. They'd give them a go, or they'd get them to dance at Bar M to trial out. Or with the flyers, they'd take on all the flyers, and there was a process of elimination, whoever sold the most flyers.
Yeah,
so
of course.
that's kind of how it works. The audition started before they even.
I remember the quality when you saw some of these people dance, from the break dancers through to some tango, Spanish dancing. There's one American dancer. I never got to meet her, but I wish I did. I waited all night for her to get on the stage, and there was that stage. It was the round stage at the middle of. It was about 20 meters out from the main stage, and it was in the middle. She danced like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was like she floated. And she mesmerized the whole crowd. And I remember, because we used to, the VIP up by the stairs, up by the left-hand side. And I just used to look down at her, and I was just like in love. Just like, it's just amazing. She was definitely not English, but she was some continental. It's just the talent that she had. But then there's all these people dropping from the sky and in the wrapped up in the what are they called, the ribbons, and all the trapeze artists, and that was all going on around her, and it was just like
amazing.
That will never ever be matched.
So Coup and Privilege had their own dancers as well, and they were in different dressing rooms, but they didn't like us.
No, it was the same with the security.
Yeah. Their sets, we'd have our sets, and they would purposely stay on the podiums, because I danced for 2 years for Manumission, and they would stay on the podiums purposely and not let us. So we'd be sitting there waiting to go up, and they'd be just looking down as if, like, I spit in your face if you come up here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there was the hierarchy and the things that used to go on in that club. I mean, it was massive, for God's sake.
There's so many problems in there managing it, I mean, I know a lot of the managers, the ex-managers from there, and they used to tell me some of the stories, that the fires they had to put out. Well, not just the fire, but fires in general, and the backhanders and the people trying to get in, and
of course.
all the dodgy stuff going on. And I remember when we were working as security, and the privileged security never got on with the Manumission security, and John Ship was helping out with the security. I remember that year, and like, if people jumped into the pool, the privileged security used to throw them out, and we used to fucking hide them, and it was just like a game of cat and mouse between the security teams. And it was great times. But now let's move on to Space Carry On. Did you just party there, or did you just continue doing the madness?
No, I mean, I'd gone to Space prior to, because as you know, the workers used to meet up and go early doors. So when Space first started, I think it was the 3rd or 4th year, I'd gone, and I was just blown away by it. I mean, Grace Jones was in there, and there was this beautiful, I'm not sure what it was, but it had 3 boobs. It looked like Grace Jones, but it wasn't her. She was with Grace Jones, but had 3 boobs and was dancing topless with these black leather trousers on, just in the middle. And I was like, whoa, what is this place? And then I didn't go back there again until Carry On Tuesday.
Yeah.
And again, that was another, it was another thing that we did. So I'd have to race off from Manumission to get on the disco bus.
Yeah.
Or find our own way to Space, and then take props. And we inevitably had props. We'd be hanging up around Y fronts on washing lines, or getting all the crazy stuff out, like the swings and the stuff that people go, oh, what's going on here? But the best thing that happened at Space was when the toys came out. Claire would come out with the big box of toys. I'd come out with another one. We'd all come out, and people loved it. It's not a party until you bring out the fancy dress and the props and things, because everyone just goes mad for it. And they loved it.
You mentioned Jonathan earlier. When he was one of the first podcasts I did.
Yeah.
We talked about the Space Carry On, And he said
Yeah.
Pepe used to hate it
Yeah.
because of the mess.
Mess, the clear.
Fucking mess they make it every.
They used to tell us not to do the moustaches. So me and my sister used to go in and we used to give just women, just girls, moustaches. And obviously there's a backing on that. And they used to get so cross with having to peel the moustache, paraphernalia off afterwards. But we went round giving all the women moustaches, and all the gay guys and the mullet guys and everything. Oh, can I have one? I was like, no, you're a man. You're not having one. It was just, it was so
a great
fun.
time. I took my mum there.
Yeah, I took my mum there.
Yeah, a few of us did.
My mum got asked, because there was someone going around doing these questionnaires. My mum got asked what her favourite pill was. She went, oh, probably paracetamol. Just oblivious to it all, So funny.
Oh my God. Brilliant. Yeah, no, this is I love all these conversations. And to be honest, you're right. You should write a book about all this. I mean, I don't think
halfway through.
you're halfway through, are you? I mean, there's been a there's been a lot of books written.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've read a Manumission. But I know Claire's just
It's done her
released
Manumission book. Mine's not.
But that's more about her journey.
Yeah, mine's not about me, and it's not about anything in particular. And I've tried to articulate in such a way that it's more of a sensory book. I've got a paragraph in there, you coming up the stairs after being in the bowels of the Manumission dressing room, watching this, watching that, the smell of sweat and the sun twinkling onto the crunching bottles beneath your feet while you're trying to ignore the sex show and get out. It's kind of like a journey.
Yeah.
That's about senses and
using
visual.
smell. My business partner is writing a book at the moment, and he's trying to incorporate smell, sight, feeling, touch. And that's really clever because you can get a better imagination. Because when you just mentioned that, I remember I used to escort the girls from the bowels of the dressing rooms up the stairs.
Yeah.
And then to the podiums on the right, and the stage was there. And you're right, the smell.
It was very
and
sensory.
I remember DJ G at the top waiting to come down. He was, he was, and he said, "Can I go down and meet someone?" And I went, "I love your music, by the way." He didn't have a clue what I was at the time. Of course you can. And then I took him down. So all the memories just come back just by you saying that sentence.
The experiences down there, the workers' bar, they changed one place to another. It would go off, and all the workers were in there. You'd get the choir boys like with their shaving foam going down for their bottle of water, and you'd get, it was mad. And watching people get ready, like I touched on Fernando being down there getting fluffed up and having his elastic bands put around this thing that was like it's like it was like Jake the Peg with his third leg. You can't unsee some of those things. It was surreal, and not many people got to experience that because there was a whole catacomb and labyrinth of corridors, and
it was so
people,
vast.
People getting their stilts on, and people throwing up, or people coming up and going, I can't get on the podium yet, I'm too off my head. And
yeah.
Craziness down there before you even got back
it went
upstairs.
Under the because then there was the under the stage part as well, isn't it? We had the door, and under the stage there was more rooms under the stage where there was another free bar, and all the girls were getting ready, and we used to make sure. And it was just, there was weird things going on everywhere. And I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not going to mention any names on here because he's still on the island. He was a part of Manumission, and he said at one point he was that with everything going on and a little bit as well, that he used to hide in one of the cupboards. Just no one to find me here. No one to find me here. Just to calm down, for 20 minutes, just to get away from the fucking craziness.
Yeah, because you got away from that crazy to come and have your break, but it was even more mental down
Absolutely. He said he used to hide in a cupboard.
Yeah. And then to go to space from that.
Yeah.
Be in space all day with that craziness going on, and then go over to Bora Bora.
I know.
And then off to probably retro that evening, and still, it was like this discombobulated head fuck that you'd be going through for 24 hours.
Days and days and days.
There was nothing like it. It was just fun. And you kept going. I wasn't a big I didn't really take many drugs. I didn't drink a lot then. Like I said, was very poor. I had a little bottle of Yerbas with me, you know, a couple of little uppers downs through the night, but nothing major. But you just existed on fun and adrenaline and
What are we doing now?
from one place to the next and being with these people, and you'd buzz off that alone, and that was enough to keep you going. It really was. And a lot of people, like, you know, I touched on that in a recent documentary I was in, and a lot of people were quite shocked. And I said, I never took pills. I couldn't do it. The thought of it. And most people are obviously dropping like loads of them and going, but just seeing people chewing their faces off all day put me off. I thought, I don't want to look like that. But I literally lived for being silly and doing something silly, and probably because I wanted people to like me for the silliness, because no one ever really.
Yeah. I'm going to bring Bernie Joe up again. She used to drink the cups of tea.
Yeah.
You know, she wasn't a mad one for drink or anything like that. It's just that creativity and just wanting to be really random. Like we used to play Twister and stuff like that. And all that.
Yeah.
Oh, we got told off playing Twister in the middle of DC10 once, and my mate just pulled Twister out. And this is when the days I thought were changing, because Brad pulled Twister out of his pocket. Here we go! And all of a sudden, there was this massive commotion in the middle of the terrace on Monday at DC10, and everyone's playing Twister. And the security come over and just got it and ripped it out and went, "No, you cannot be doing that in here." And I was just like, "It's fucking Circo Loco, man."
Exactly. I took one to Blue Marlin when we did a little event there. This was like towards the end of the Ibiza era for me. But I got into trouble for taking the Twister board, so I turned it into a dress. I made a hole in the top, made it into a cloak and wore it. It was great.
We used to take Twister to space all the time. And I used to love doing that.
The funniest time, I just wanted to mention this. There's a video out. But it comes under Cocoon, Space Cocoon or something. But it's hilarious. And we were taking me and Elliot and Gail, we were pulling down the inflatable aeroplanes, and we started wearing them, like, you know, popping them head through and out the arms. But then we started to take them down and clear a runway. And we were actually running along and like bombarding through people on these bouncy planes and falling all over the place on them, making actual runways with these planes, and people just standing back. It was so funny, so funny.
Do you remember the Garland signs? The Garlands made me do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Garlands did their very famous, and it's still spoken about today as potentially one of the greatest parties ever at Space, where it was the White Party. And I don't know whether you were still on the island at the time, but they did, and they put all the Garland signs up all around the terrace at Space, and all the workers wanted one, because you used to pull them down, and you used to keep them. And I've got one up here. I'm going to take some photos, actually, because I've got a Garland sign here, and I've got some anchors over here from the fancy dress shop in Ibiza town. I've still got some stuff here that we use at Shipwrecked. But
being in chaos, sorry, Eden.
Yeah, Garlands, but they did a huge a free party at Space, and we ran in and we got these, and we were pretending to use the lines to chop up big lines, right? And everyone was pretending to do a line in the middle of the terrace with these big fucking credit cards, and the security told us off for that.
Did they do a party there where you had to wear pajamas and nightwear?
They did Kenya as well. They did them at Kenya. I think this was like 2002, 2003.
That was the year I was out there and I wasn't actually working. I was just living the dream, really. Just in and out. Yeah,
because as you said, living on a shoestring. I've said it before in this. I do remember occasions in the winter, my first winter especially, when everyone went fishing for their food.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So, what inspired your silly ideas? How did you get the creativity for that?
I don't know.
That is really random stuff.
When you think about it, I mean, what did we grow up with? The Muppet Show, Magic Roundabout, Fraggles. I think I was obsessed with all that kind of, Button Moon. I used to love that.
Yeah.
And I think I just used to, I think it was childhood. I think I kind of felt restrained as a teenager, or I wasn't able to get myself out there. I knew there was this weird kind of crazy person inside me. But I think where I grew up in this tiny little village in a small town, I was screaming to get out. And I think maybe it's just going back to the weird childhood things that we kind of grew up watching or listening to. I don't know. People say, what's my obsession with mannequins now? Because mannequins come with me to all of the Pure Sea events and whatever. We dress them up. It's fun. They have to be. They're a vital part of what we do, and they're recycled, of course. So I'm giving them a new lease of life. But I think there was a house on my way to school, on the way to primary school. I was obsessed with it because this man would have mannequins outside the house mowing the lawns, or standing outside the window waving, or just doing crazy things on this little country lane on the way to school. I know that he got told he was banned from doing it after a while, but I loved all that kind of thing. And as a child, I'd look out for things like that. And I liked quirkiness and oddity. And, because I was a bit different to everyone else where I grew up. I was a bit strange. So I suppose I just took my strange Ibiza, and
we all are.
Exploded. I found myself.
Do you think we had I often think of it as like I grew up when I was 40. I kind of like had a second life, a second childhood.
I don't do adult very well.
Yeah, no. I mean, I like when people talk to me about like, are you going to get married? I'm like, what do you mean get married? That's what adults do. It's too much of a grown up concept for me. You're going to buy a house? I'm only just coming around to it now, and I'm late 40s, and I'm just thinking I've been blessed maybe that I haven't had to do this whole adult stuff.
Gary and I have talked about the wedding. And one of the discussions was to take Phil Silcock over to Las Vegas and find a midget to marry us off and just do a cine film, a black and white cine film, that with a bit of a, what's his name? I can't think of his name now. But with that kind of, and then just send that out to everybody. Look, we got married, there's a midget, it's black and white, it's a donkey, just
I think that's the only way I could do it as well, I just, because my missus, we've got kids and stuff, and
well, your family want to see you get married, don't they?
Oh God, do they?
Yeah.
But
every girl wants a big white wedding or something.
I know, but we're a very unusual breed, I think. I mean, where we were very, very, very blessed, and I think I had this second childhood from like through my 20s into my. So I was in Ibiza a long time, and I just never really grew up. And when genuinely people say, "Are you talk about grown-up topics?" I kind of like.
I don't even do politics. I don't watch the news. I don't want to. It's too distracting. People that do get angry over everything, and it's so I'd rent my house, carry on as I am, living in my bubble. I don't. I will get stressed. I suffer anxiety anyway, and since my big operation at the beginning of the year, I've developed an autoimmune disease, and anxiety and stress is kind of one of the cruxes of what's made me unwell. I need something to look forward to keep me going. That's probably why, with the events and everything else, and I need to get things in place and book things, because otherwise, if I just sit around watching the news or taking notice of things or go, I'd go mad.
Procrastinating, you mean?
Doing the whole adult stuff. I think I'd just, I brought up 2 children on my own, but that's kind of fun.
In true Ibiza fashion, me and Lisa had a power cut right at the end of our session. We were just about to wrap things up, and I actually thought it was quite poignant, actually, because of the amount of power cuts we went through back in the day in the nightclubs. I remember being in many in Circle Loco, many at Privilege. I've heard stories of the electricians. I think one of them, Simon, who still lives on the island, literally with his hands in the electrical box out on the streets, outside Privilege, trying to hotwire the electricity so it came on again. Extremely dangerous, but he did it. So yeah, thanks for tuning in to this podcast, and thank you to everybody who made Manumission such a wonderful, memorable beautiful experience. Thank you, Lisa. It was an amazing chat. We're actually going to do another podcast with Lisa, as Lisa has now moved on to run a charity called Pure Sea, which is all about cleaning up the oceans and the seas and the rivers around the world. It is a fabulous charity, and I felt it deserved a second podcast. So tune in very soon. As you can see, I've got power back. And yeah, me and Lisa will be back chatting again very, very soon. But thank you very much for taking the time to listen in. And please subscribe if you get a chance. It really helps.